Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my podcast, as usual, Spiritual Infinity. And my name is Zenzi Sewa. And today, my guest is Ashmita Aurora. And as you know, my podcasts are about each one of my guests sharing their journey of their spiritual connection, because we are living in very exciting times, very challenging times, but also magical times. And things are happening to us and sometimes we don't understand it. But my guests, when they're sharing their journey, I'm hoping some of you will say, oh, I can connect with that. That's happened to me. And helping you to know how to walk your journey, to find your courage, and to realize that whilst we are individuals, we are all going through, but yet we're all connected, and not to be afraid. So without much ado, I welcome, and she's in Vancouver, Canada, Ashmita Aurora. Hello, Ashmita. How are you today?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm very well. What's the weather like at your end?
Cloudy, rainy,
Yeah, it's the
similar
same.
to London, I would say.
Yeah, in London, no rain, but you can feel like dampness in the air. You sometimes you think it's spitting, but it's not. It's the dampness in the air, and it's overcast and it's quite dull. But
Yeah.
with our talk today, let's brighten things up and let's bring the power of the universe in. Ashmita, you're here today to speak and share with us your journey of connecting to your spirituality. So let's begin.
Yeah, definitely. I went through an awakening. I'd say it very clearly started in like 2019 to
Mhm.
2023.
Mhm.
But even before that, I would say from childhood, I always had some sort of an allure to the occult or spiritual um, ideas.
Mhm.
And so looking back now, there was hints of it through childhood or thinking, hey, I think I saw something or I can feel things, but chopping it up to say imagination
Mhm.
or yeah, I think that there's something, but it doesn't really go anywhere past that type of idea. And then it got to a point of things, you know that feeling in life when you are trying and things are just not panning out the way that you would think they are, or it's like almost like a state of just being in confusion where
Yeah.
you almost it's almost like you know what you think you should be doing or the way you should be going, but it just wasn't syncing with you.
Yeah.
And it's like it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense to me how, say for instance, somebody like myself, why I would it was almost like an allergic reaction I would have to
Mhm.
going to school,
Yeah.
high school. But knowing the family that I came from and the expectations and just the way that I was brought up, you would think that that would be something that I would really blossom into and really take on and be able to go through fairly easily. But it wasn't. It was more. It was weird, and it didn't make sense to me.
Mhm.
And as I got older and college came around and I started doing better there because it was something I was actually interested in.
Mhm.
But um, but different ventures, different things, anything that was kind of mainstream society where I was like, yeah, that's success. That's what I should aim for. Something would always happen, usually in my health, that would deter me off of that path and just take create all these detours in my life, and I couldn't the easiest way to say it is things didn't make sense.
Mhm. I,
It never.
let me stop you there.
Yeah.
You are talking, and it is true. You think that this is how it should be, or this is what it should be, but something inside you says there's another story inside working with you, and you feel probably that's how it should be. And so in some cases you're like, well, this is there, but this is how I feel. But then when you try to follow a set path And I say a set path because, as you said, the background you came from and what is expected and how you think it should be going. But then when you're going that path because that's what expected and that's what society says, that's what family says, blah blah blah, something happens and it pushes you away from that. And I find that very interesting because I hear that so many times from people who, as you're walking in life, because you're trying to please the norm that we've been brought up in, and we're not supposed to. And
No.
it's very difficult to tell those. And tell me, did you find this in your life because you grew up in a certain type of family? What type of family did you grow up in? That
Very
is,
structured, very more overachievers, I would say. But yeah, quite structured and traditional in a sense.
yeah,
But it's one of those things that like I must have chosen, not must have, I chose that family for that structure so that I break out of it.
yeah, yeah, because obviously, and you chose it, and did you find it was difficult? Because for
Yeah.
overachievers, expectations, you're following the same path, but something gets stronger as you get older and you realize something's not right. And then when you try, when you come to that realization, then to turn and say, I don't think that's right, especially in the family, I expect you came up to some difficulties.
Yeah, I think it was, you know, the thing is, and for me, high school it was hard. It was a challenge to get through because, like I said, it was almost like an allergic reaction to just even going, even getting up every single day and having to go was it was torture for some reason. And typically it gets stereotyped as if somebody doesn't want to go to school in high school, then they're either lazy or they have no drive or all these things that I didn't fit. Like I wasn't lazy. I had drive. I just didn't have drive for whatever was going on there. I
Yeah,
always knew I want my own business. I want this. I want to do these things. But like even now, I can't make sense of it because you would think logically speaking, they tell you, oh, okay, you're gonna go through high school, then you're gonna do all these things. But it didn't, it really just didn't make sense to me because who I was as a person, but how I felt about school were so different.
yeah.
It was so opposite. And I remember like teachers and like my guidance counselor is like, if you show up for 1 week straight, I will buy you lunch. And I was like, no. Or like my brother was playing hockey with his son and he would see me at the ice rink in the evening and be like, where were you today? And I was like, uh, and my husband now, but my boyfriend, when he was my boyfriend at the time,
Mm.
he was in college and he was in criminology. And I found that so much more interesting. And so I would sneak into his lecture hall with him and sit through his classes in college when I was supposed to be in high school. But it was it was so much more interesting to me. So it wasn't like I couldn't grasp the concept or the work was hard for me. I just had it was different. And now, looking back, I go, wow, if I had blossomed, if I had really taken in what the way that I was supposed to take it in and all these things, and if I had felt very comfortable in society's um, idea of what success is supposed to look like, then I would have no reason to have jumped to living in this quantum 5D dimension.
Yeah,
The 3D would have been great,
yes. It's
So it was crazy. That's how it had to happen.
yeah,
That's just how things had to happen. But you're right when you say we're living in magical times, and It's crazy because you'll see the divide now. People are
Yes,
seeing it
yes,
more than ever.
yeah, yeah. And I have these problems because there's a lot of people all over the world just like us who are going through this, like a dual, I can't say dual personality because we have the personality, but this dual feeling, you've got to do this because society says this, but I'm feeling that. And you're having this tug, and the tug is getting stronger and stronger. And this is why I want people to realize that we need to listen to that inner self. Now, Ashmita, you were going through this tug, you were sneaking into your now husband's class of criminology, you were listening to other things. What happened so that you started to understand what was happening within you?
I don't think even now I can quite grasp what's happening, even
Mm,
on a day to day. However, that break that kind of happened in 2019 where everything in life kind of that moment where everything kind of comes to a head,
yeah.
and it's kind of like, okay, where am I rebuilding from? And so I was highly stressed in that moment in my life, going through those things. The stress had actually caused me to have like a hemiplegic migraines, which
Wow.
is almost like a silent stroke like symptoms when
Mhm.
but it's like a migraine. And I also had paralysis in parts of my body, which was terrifying. And it was due to stress. So I started meditating more. And as I kept meditating, there was an instance when I heard a pop at the top of my head.
Mhm.
And when I heard this pop, it was as if the veil had lifted. I was able to start speaking to people on the other side. I was able to connect with different frequencies, and knowing, like, I knew I was doing it. I could tune it. I was able to see things that weren't there in our physical realm. I was able to know things, just an inner knowing. And so I naturally thought I was going through postpartum psychosis.
Going mad. I'm seeing all these things. This is not real because we've been told they're not real. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because how could I possibly have been able to connect to people that passed on all of a sudden? That wasn't that wasn't something that I was able to do before. And I was also getting a lot of downloads, a lot of messages, um, and the words, the verbiage that was used was not my norm or words that I even would know. And one of my girlfriends said, "You need to start writing it down. You need to write all of this down." And she goes, "You're going through an awakening." And from there, I started getting this energy rising through my body. And I thought I was just having like internal shakes. So I'm thinking, this is like another health issue happening. And every day it would go higher and higher and higher. And it went radiated through my whole body.
Mhm.
And I would say to my husband, can you feel my stomach shaking? I'm really shaking. And he's like, I can't feel anything. But I could feel it, and I was bedbound, and I just didn't feel well, and I was just going through this, and I would do my meditations, and I'd have my arms moving in various ways, and the energy was it was very there was a flow to it, and my hand would start to do certain signals and or movements that later on I came to understand that they all had meanings to them.
Okay.
But I just knew to trust the energy. Something just it wasn't bad. It didn't make me feel negative or anything. So I just went with it, and then came to know that that was a Kundalini rising
Mhm.
type of experience, and I went through the spiritual awakening as well. And so as this process went on, I actually had a few girlfriends from way back in my childhood come back that had gone through their awakening or had come out and said, hey, you know what, I was psychic, I just You
It was,
know, I they some knew that they were psychic, but it wasn't something that they wanted to uh introduce to the world at that time.
yeah,
And so it's kind of like, okay, I'm not the only one going through this. There's people that I knew from high school. There's people that I knew from childhood that are now going through this as well. And so I just started really leaning into it. And I had a spiritual business already where I was selling gemstones and sage Palo Santo, things like that. And I would notice that when I was selling it, I was able to tell the person, hey, you know what? I think that this is the gemstone for you because of A, B, and C,
yeah.
not knowing already that my intuition was very accurate, very strong. But I just started leaning more and more into it. And as I did, the gates just kept opening wider and wider. Then spirit guides started coming through, and everything became a lot more clear to the point where I redid my bedroom and my daughter's bedrooms, and I didn't even need a measuring tape because they just told me where what went. It was it was crazy.
Let me stop you here because you said this all started from 2019 when you were at high school
No, no,
and
no. When I was in high school, I was going through challenges
challenges
leading up, and then 2019 is where a lot of things like
started
miss.
to manifest
Yeah,
itself.
yeah.
Okay, and from that, how did your how did your family react to all this? Because as you said, overachievers leaving high school, doing what they didn't expect you to do, and having this strong feeling. What were the reactions around you from family, from friends? Were they supportive? Were they understanding? You know, what challenges or what support were you given?
Yeah, it was luckily from high school till 2019 it was a pretty large gap. Um so 2019 I turned 30. And so I had that 10 years of more of a professional life. So high school was kind of done and over with, and then the family got accustomed to me running my own businesses. So they were okay with that. Husband was completely supportive, like the best support system. Anything that I was going through, he kind of knew to go with it because I guess life with me has always been a little vibrant. So he knew
I
to
like
just
what
kind
you
of go with it. Yeah. But after I after I had my second child, when the awakening really started coming into play, because 2023, after my third daughter, then it really came about with the gates opening. But I had gone through really, really bad postpartum OCD. And so when I was going through that, then they medicated me and things through my doctor.
Mm.
And so my family kind of chopped it up to she's on meds.
No,
At first, they're like, yeah, it's probably the medicine or something, until it got to the point of the accuracy that I had was undeniable, where even now it's not 100% comfortable, I would say,
mhm.
because it's not like they're asking questions or understanding, but it's they're not against it or anything. I think I put them through enough when I was in high school.
Was that your family?
Yeah, yeah. I think that I scared them enough back then to
Okay.
where to where now they're like, this is fine.
Okay. So you're now you saying that you started your business, and what was the business that you started?
Yeah, I started my company, Eva and Isla, because just during like stressful times in life or anything my husband and I had gone through, we had always gone into we watched The Secret and going into manifestation and positive thinking, affirmations. That's how we just started like decades ago. We started doing that. And then from that, it just kind of grew and grew, and we found different modalities that were really cool that we found very beneficial to us. And so we started creating little ritual kits and things like that that we thought would help individuals. And so we have different jewelry and different ritual boxes and different little elixirs and sage, Palo Santo. And we started to go and get these items directly from Peru
Yeah.
for the Palo Santo, which is our main product right now. And so we have a team there that harvests the wood and brings it to us, and we started selling those. So that was the first spiritual business we got into.
Okay. And let me just also, because you, when you were younger, used to go to your husband's class, criminology, listen to there. So now I'm hearing you started a business and he's very supportive. So obviously he must have had some knowledge and from his own background of what you were going through and understanding it, that you joined together to do this business. And how did his family or your families take to him probably having that support and having that understanding with you?
I think I think they just summed it up to, because we've been together so long, I think, since I was 15 and he was 19. And so now 40 and 36, they just see us as a team, and they know that whatever we're going through, we decided a long time ago that we know in a relationship we're going to change. We're going to go through stages, we're going to change. And so we said, what do we expect from each other? Are we going to grow together, change together? Or are we gonna expect that person to be who we were when we first met? And these are conversations that we have frequently.
Mhm.
And he's kind of seen me grow, and he's seen me from like that 15-year-old girl to now and becoming a mother and going through the awakening. And it's just, I can't put it into words. It's unexplainable, like a lot of the things have been, where we just sink. And so he really grounds me and helps me through it, but he also understands when it's my intuition, or if I'm getting like a splenic hit and I'm following my design. He's able to see where I'm thinking too much and when I'm allowing it to really come through. So I would say one of his gifts is that he can decipher that. He
Good.
can decipher when it's coming from my mind, and he can decipher when it's coming from source.
Mhm.
And so he'll know, hey, you know what? No, I think you're overthinking something.
Yeah.
And so that's been great.
I asked this question because it is so nice when you have somebody that way back that you could connect with. And as I said, he studied criminology, do you know it? So again, he's an academic and now switching over to the spiritual side and being with you and understanding you is such a big advantage, and helping you through these difficult times and through the development of the awakening and through your relationship and you having your children. It is really a blessed thing. So obviously you were meant to be together to travel this journey, and he's there, your partner, to help you through that journey. So helping you through that journey and the two of you coming together and forming that business, um, and having these downloads and things happen to you, how did you, apart from having the shop with the jewelry and the different things and the incenses, which of course help people and you can guide people what to use, apart from that, how do you use your energy, I can say your powers, your gifts, that's what I want to say. How do you use your gifts towards helping people? Do you do workshops, you know what, because I know you have downloads and people, I'm sure people come to you. How do people connect with you and magnetize towards you?
Yeah, so that one actually, the Eva and Isla, it's called. That company started a few years ago. So I think um, that one primarily now he takes care of. And so I focus more on my spiritual teachings. So it's actually on ashmitaaurora.com. But basically, I have three different offerings. And one of the offerings is just like a clarity call where they come in and I just do an intuitive reading for them. And it's kind of a one-time thing, gives them the clarity that individuals need in the moment. For
Mhm.
the ones that are looking for the clarity and then to get to the place of transformation, I've got two other offerings that I do. One is called Portal to Self, the intensive, and the other one is Portal to self-paced. And so the self-paced one is 6 different segments, which are broken into 3 phases that I take them through, and they can pick and choose when they want to progress to the next lesson. And so I take them one-on-one through it. And, some individuals either, if it's something that they can't afford all at once, or it's something that they need to digest slowly, then that works for them.
Mhm.
The intensive takes them through those 3 phases, which I'll tell you what the phases are in a minute, but it takes them through those 3 phases in 3 to 6 months, and it's super intensive. It's like a breaking down of self. So it goes through revealing what the issues are, their patterns, their soul connection to themselves, why
Mhm.
they're here, why they go through what they're going through. And so that's actually one of my gifts, is I'm able to tell people what their soul patterns are, why they're here, why they're going through it, what they're meant to learn from it. So
Yeah.
I can see that. And when they come and they talk and they're just saying things to me, I can hear what the words that they're saying, but I'm able to read between the lines
Yeah.
where I can uncover and tell them. So when
Yeah.
people are not even sure what they're going through, half the time they think their problem is one thing and it's completely different.
Okay.
So I
That.
reveal it.
Mhm. Yeah. Go on.
Yeah,
I,
sorry, what was that?
I find that very interesting because I know when I'm working with people, it's the same thing when you say they're talking one thing, but you're picking up something else. And
Yeah.
then when you tell them, it's like, how did you do that? As much as they're talking, you're hearing and you're seeing something. And that is such a gift to have, because in this life, a lot of us, as you say, we think we need this and we want something else, and we really do need that guidance and that help to take away the cobwebs or the branches that are covering us, and so that we can see clearly, so that we can take those steps in our life in the correct way. And when you said there are different sections and you're going to tell us about that, please go ahead and tell us about those sections.
Yeah, so there's 3 parts. So the
Mm,
first part is revealing. So
mhm,
really revealing to them truth. Truth about what they're going through, truth about who they really are.
mhm.
And that sounds like it's fairly easy, but to actually break it down to an individual takes a couple sessions, or in the intensive, it's a very deep transmission that comes through, because a lot of people don't understand, hey, I'm source, I'm energy, I am this
Yes.
thing outside of me, and life is almost like a video game. These are characters that we've developed.
Yeah.
So revealing that to them and showing them firsthand, not just in theory,
Mhm.
showing them through my lived experience,
Yeah.
because that's what really makes that difference from just hearing it in theory.
Yeah.
Then the second thing is rewiring,
Yeah.
resetting, and allowing them to then dictate what meaning they want to assign to their life, they
Yeah.
want to assign to their challenges, putting them in that power seat and really, really helping them become the creator and create that life. So it's like a quantum jump into the life that they want to develop.
Yeah.
Phase 3 is the really important one, which is integration
Mm.
and getting them into that flow. Because a lot of times, and this is why clarity is great, but if you don't know how to integrate that clarity into your everyday life,
Mhm.
then it just sits there. It's it's like a good book that's just sitting on your shelf that you haven't read yet.
Mm.
And so it won't have any effect on your life. It's not going to give you the benefits that it could give you unless you know how to integrate it and start living in that vibration. And so when they do come to me, the great thing is they get the key to be able to alchemize throughout their life. It's not a one solution to one problem. This is a lifelong rewiring way of looking at it, something that they can carry with them
Yeah.
forever. Yeah.
Because we're all evolving from one stage to another. And as you quite rightly say, it's not one thing and everything's right. No, each time we evolve to this stage, and then we go on to another stage. And then each time we're growing and we're clearing and we're understanding and we're clearing and we are revealing and taking off the layers. It's like an onion with the
Yeah.
different layers we have to take off. And
You know,
that's true.
you nailed it with the onion, because so many times people, when they're trying to heal or fix something, they're adding. And so much of it is removing the distortion.
Yeah.
So much of it is getting rid of distortion that's keeping you stuck. And I think that's one of the things, like I've gone through different challenges. I've come out the other side. I've seen, all different facets of life. And so I've really let judgment fall to the wayside and really go more into non-duality, because that helps individuals also feel comfortable
Mhm.
to know that it doesn't matter. The outside, like, to me, when I see challenges, they're just like icons.
Yeah.
It's like, Facebook has a logo and Twitter and Instagram, but it's all social media.
Yeah.
And so issues in our life, to me, it's just it's just a certain frequency. The actual event, the actual situation doesn't really matter. There's a deeper layer, because sometimes individuals come and they say, okay, I've got this, like, how do I deal with all of this? And I was like, well, it's only one thing, and it's always the same thing.
Yeah.
It's contraction. It's contraction, no matter what your problem is.
I like what you've just said, because I've also found that when we're going through problems, it is one thing, and that one thing affects every other layer. And because we are energy, and it is on an energy basis, because we're in an imbalanced mode, and we have to rebalance. And once that imbalance it goes off, it affects everything else in different degrees. And you also said that when we're doing something, you're non-judgmental, because we've all come to learn and to correct and to experience. And therefore, we're doing the best we know how. But of course, because we're in that imbalance, it has to be rebalanced. And it's not that we're doing it purposely. And therefore, we don't need to judge. And we need to make them feel it's okay, because we're all coming from source, and somehow we've connected with that imbalance, which we have to now disconnect. And once we understand that, we look at individuals in a different way. And
Completely.
it is
It's
non-judgment.
it's completely, it's so different, because I even had I had this individual come in. She was a spiritual guide at the hospital. So she would help people that are going through hard times at the hospital. And when I talked to her, and she works with a lot of people that are like they've been really trained with trauma, to be trauma informed. And so she was telling me about the ways that they're meant to talk to individuals that come in, what they're going through, trigger words, all these kind of things. And the majority, because of the location that she worked at, a huge majority are people off the streets. So people that are street workers and things like that. And I said, well, she was kind of telling me a little bit about the way that they talk. And I said, wow, what if you turned it around and said to them, instead of making them feel as if they came in and they're, say, a victim, you say, wow, how do you find your integrity? How do you find that drive? Because they felt like they needed a fix. They did whatever it took to get that fix. Now, if we take that in a different way and we take it into business and we go, okay, there's somebody that needs X amount of sales and they're willing to hustle and do anything, we would celebrate that.
Mm.
Where this individual, they have the drive, it's just put into a harmful way. If they were
Misplaced.
able, it's misplaced. If they were able to take it somewhere, but they have that same foundation inside of them. I need this. I will do whatever it takes to get this. In one context, it's such a great thing. And one, in the other, it's completely, um, it's just a bad thing to,
Yeah.
it's bad in society as well. And so if we can reframe it for them, because they come through and they feel very discouraged. They come through and they feel worthless. They
Yeah.
come through and they think I'm a nobody. And it's like, you're actually more similar to people that you would consider successful than you even realize. Because
Yeah.
if you look at the traits that you use to get through things and the hardships,
Mhm.
and if you can just change that, like how empowering is that
Yeah. It's
for them?
what you said is, I've never thought it in that way. And you're absolutely correct, because they have that drive to do whatever it takes to get that fix. And if you flip that and say, you can use that energy to do whatever it takes to correct it, you've got it. You've got what it takes. They just need to believe in themselves that it can be flipped, it can be corrected, and they can do better because they've got it.
Yeah, they have, but and the belief that
Believe.
they can do something, half the time they don't believe it because they go, well, tell me a time in my life that I was able to, or it's never worked out. And you take it right from their experience and you show it to them. That's undeniable. They know what they've done to get the fixes. They know how far they've gone to
Yeah.
get it. They know that they put everything else to the wayside to get what they needed. I mean, I'm not stereotyping, but I'm just talking generally speaking
Mm.
from what we see as outsiders, right? And so when you can bring it to them on a level where they can really see it for themselves, then they can believe it. If we show them in more of a normal kind of way, they're not going to feel like they can really connect to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is about belief. It is about you realizing that you are worthy, and that it's just certain circumstances that's knocked you off and made you feel that you're unworthy. Now you've got to switch that back to realize who you are, and you are worthy, and turn it around.
Yeah.
Your work you're doing is brilliant.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
So, working with all these different people, what do you find is, especially in the times we're living, is there a common element that you can see that runs through the vein of the things you're doing, and what's going through people?
Yeah, it's that itch that we talked about. It's the itch of knowing that there's something, because they won't come to me unless they know that there's something else. I'm not clinical, and like it's not like a therapist or somebody that has a degree. It's a spiritual teacher. So to know and to go to one, they already have that inkling
Mhm.
that there's something missing, and everything that I've tried that is standard, or in that 3D physical realm, has not worked. There's something else here. And so when we can really merge that spirituality with the physical realm, because we talked earlier about how there's those two paths
Yeah.
and how we feel the pull.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed as well is a lot of people that are in the spiritual field, they go all the way in the spiritual field where they let go of the 3D completely. But we're not supposed to do that. We're really supposed to be able to merge both angles.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to go up there to then bring it back, which is what happened to me. I during the awakening, there was a stage that I went through that was just complete bliss. That I thought that there's nothing that can go wrong. There's no problems. I would wake up with a smile on my face. I'd be dancing around very like not my structured self. But it was um it was different. It was very magical and very like flowy. And
Yeah.
then I got hit with numbness.
Oh.
And so what happened was it's like I went through this extreme dark night of the soul type of energy in 2019. Then I had got this bliss that was like euphoric and it was just so beautiful. And then after that, I got hit with numbness, which is if everything's so great, then why am I even here? Like what do I even have to contribute? Why
Mm.
there's no feeling towards anything. And I would long to feel something. But now looking back, what it was taking me down, taking me up, neutralizing me. So then when that phase faded out, I was able to reconstruct ground up and really define it for myself. And so the universe essentially was emptying out my vessel so that I was a clear vessel to have things flow through. And these are things that, at the time, that the numbness was probably the hardest because when you're going through hardship, you're like, okay, you can understand these are blocks that I'm going through. These are painful moments. When you're blissful, you don't care because you're so happy. But when you're numb, when you can't feel good or bad, you're just like, why? Why is there a point to anything? That one was the hardest for me.
Yeah.
That one was really hard.
I like the way you said it's almost as though they do things to empty you out because you
Yeah.
are this vessel, but you've got so much mess inside there that's not real, that shouldn't be there. And in order to give you what you need, it's like taking muddy water and keep on pouring clean water. Well, you either do one thing, clean it out altogether, then you just get on with it. But if you've got this big set of muddy water, you're going to have to, I won't say waste, but pour out a great deal of clean water before you can clear that mud. And the best thing is to clean everything out.
Yeah.
Because if you don't clean it out, it's another way of saying that when you clean that out, you're also cleaning your mind, cleaning your way of thinking so that you don't keep on contaminating things.
Yeah.
Although it takes time because it is a process, but when you understand that, you're more aware and things can move at a smoother pace. And it is about them, cleaning you out and
Yeah.
bringing you down.
Yeah. Because if you're going in with, if you're going in with that distortion, it also skews the
Yeah.
information that you bring through. And
Yes.
so I had to clear it out because when I'm helping people, when I'm bringing the messages through, I cannot have any form of preconceived notion or judgment.
Yeah.
It has to be clean. And so and that changed a lot of things because even in my diet there was a time where it was I can only eat almonds and boiled egg and like very plain, like nothing with any flavoring. I had to just eat very clean,
And yeah.
or like highly vegetarian, which was not like me at all. But I went, and it was completely that. And alcohol, I would not be able to take it at all. Like it had to clean me out to now I can have like a glass of champagne, but definitely not having drinks or anything outside of that. Yeah, it's a whole procedure. It rewires you completely.
Yeah. Yeah. You rethink what you do, and you do it willingly.
Yeah.
You do it voluntarily because your whole mind, as you said before, you could have been drinking, whatever, and now they've cleaned you out. Now you can go back to drinking, but now you just say, oh, one's enough, and you
Yeah.
don't want progress. Your mind is changed. Your mind, and you said you're rewired. And that's the most important thing. And when you're working with your guests, you're doing the same thing. You're showing them the truth. Then you're helping them to go back in and take away the distortion, to look at things and rewire themselves to act differently. Because everything starts with what's up here. It's the program. Delete the program and put another program in that's really who we really are.
It truly is.
Yeah. So Ashmita, you have these different programs. How can people connect with you if they wish to?
Yeah, ashmitaaurora.com.
Mm.
Everything is on there. We also have a free guide because there's navigating this upcoming new shift in our intuition
Yeah.
and how to follow that. So I've got 3 very simple but very, very potent methods, and they can download it on my site and use it just as a little reference, just a quick little tips that'll help them really connect with themselves
Mhm.
and get through these challenging times, because a lot of people are living in a time right now of sheer confusion.
Yeah, it is. It is. And so they can they can connect with you at ashmitaaurora.com.
Yes.
And you also do these different classes that people can speak to you about, but it's all on your website. Yes.
Everything will be there. Yeah, they're all one-on-one right now. They're all private. So it's one-on-one, very confidential, and we go through everything step by step. If they're not ready for the full transformation, I also have a clarity reading where I can go in and just give them the full review of what they're going through, what they've gone through in life, and why, what their soul wants them to know. So I connect with their guides, with their higher self, and I'm
Mhm.
able to bring through the messages for them.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Shmita, before we say goodbye,
Mhm.
and I would like you to, knowing all of our people looking in and what we're going through, what is a golden or maybe 2 golden tips that you can give to our viewers to help them through their path, through their
Yeah,
challenges?
there's one very powerful one, and it is the absolute answer to every single one of their issues and the cause, because we talked about how it's always one thing.
Yeah.
And so this is something to really carry with you, and it is that every single problem that you have is due to attachment, and the solution to every single problem that you have is detachment. And that could be the meaning, that could be the situation, and or that could be the way that you're perceiving it.
Mhm.
But if you really hone in, there's not one thing in your life that you cannot detach from. You might think that you cannot, but it's a perception shift. You can change the way that you view something, even
Mhm.
if you can't change it on the outside physical world, right? You can rename the meaning behind these certain elements in your life that are challenging.
Yeah. Ashmita, thank you so much for that, because you're right. Everything is to do with attachment. It's a attachment of a situation or of a thought that's creating that situation. And it's about sitting down and really being honest with yourself to see what is it that's causing that. Because when you
Yeah.
do and you get to that core, you then get to know, then how do I let go? And it is attachment. And it's things that we don't realize. But for all of you who are looking, you know how to get how to connect to Ashmita. I'll also put it in the write-up. And for all of those of you who are looking today, remember that you're not the only one. We're all going through so much. Even as Ashmita is there and she gets the download, she's not perfect. She still has our struggles. Am I not right, Ashmita? You're still
Yeah.
having to go through, and you're going through level by level. And we're all doing this together. And we're all trying to help one another as much as we can. to face that journey, to face the times we're living in, and they are wonderful times, and not to be afraid, and to realize you're not alone. So for now, I thank you all for listening. And more so, I thank Ashmita Aurora for joining us this afternoon. Ashmita, thank you so much. And she's giving you that gold nugget attachment. Let go. Got to find out what it is, but you know how to get hold of her. So for now, everybody, thank you for joining us. Bye for now. Bye, everyone.